Captain Marcus Hale had never felt smaller in his life. The shuttle's doors opened to reveal a vast hall that seemed impossibly tall, its ceiling lost in shadows and glowing with strange, soft lights that pulsed like living stars. The walls shimmered with colors Marcus had no names for, colors that seemed to hum as he walked beneath them. Every step echoed loudly in the enormous chamber, reminding him of how fragile a human felt among these towering, graceful beings. He adjusted his uniform and tried to calm his racing heart. The alien courtiers around him moved like flowing water, their forearms shifting in ways that made Marcus dizzy just to watch. Some had skin that glittered like jewels, others had eyes so deep and dark. He felt as though they could see straight into his thoughts. He felt exposed, tiny, a fragile human standing in the middle of a world that was not meant for him. And yet he had a mission. At the far end of the hall, on a throne carved from crystal and metal, sat the alien queen. She was more magnificent and more terrifying than anything Marcus had ever imagined. Her horns twisted like living sculptures. Her skin shimmered like liquid amethyst and her eyes glowed with a strange violet light. She leaned forward slightly as if assessing him with every detail of her gaze. Marcus swallowed hard. He had faced dangerous alien worlds, war zones, and deadly missions, but nothing prepared him for the quiet, overwhelming power in the presence of a queen, Captain Marcus Hale. Her voice resonated through the chamber, deep and melodic, yet sharp enough to make him shiver. "You have entered my court, a human among our people. Tell me, why should we not destroy you where you stand?" Marcus squared his shoulders, forcing courage into his voice. "Your Majesty, I come in peace. I am not here to fight or claim. My mission is to protect life, all life, even yours if it is threatened." A ripple passed through the court. The courtiers exchanged glances, their four eyes widening in surprise. Humans rarely showed such courage. Most would have cowered, stumbling over words in fear. But Marcus's words were firm, honest. His heart pounded, but he held his ground. The queen's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. "And yet you are fragile. Your kind is weak. How can you possibly protect us?" Marcus looked her in the eye, refusing to back down. "Strength is not just muscle or weapons, Your Majesty. True strength comes from courage, from choosing to stand up when everything tells you to run. That is what I offer." There was a moment of silence so thick it seemed to weigh down the air. Marcus could hear the quiet murmur of the alien crowd, their whispers strange but tense. Even the queen paused, her violet eyes searching him as if weighing not just his words, but his soul. He noticed a small figure at the edge of the hall, a child with curious violet eyes, watching him with a mixture of awe and suspicion. Her skin was lighter than the others, glowing faintly in the hall's strange light. She was clearly not part of the courtiers' scheming. She moved with an innocent grace, her attention fixed entirely on him. Marcus felt a pang of something he could not name, an odd warmth in his chest at her gaze. The queen leaned back, her expression unreadable. "We will see if your words match your deeds, human. For now you may remain, but you are under strict watch. Any false move and even your courage will not save you." Marcus bowed respectfully, keeping his nerves in check. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not disappoint you." As he was led away by alien guards to a chamber for human visitors, a chamber far smaller and dimmer than the hall, it struck him how fragile and alone he felt. And yet deep inside a spark burned. For the first time in his life, Marcus felt the weight of something bigger than himself. Not just survival, not just duty, but a chance to prove that humanity, small and fragile though it might seem, could shine even in the most alien, terrifying places. And somewhere in the shadows of the grand hall, the child's violet eyes followed him, curious, waiting, watching. Days passed in the alien court, and Marcus began to learn the rhythm of life among beings so different from himself. The courtiers whispered in clicks and hums, moving in ways that seemed to follow a hidden dance only they understood. Marcus listened, observed, and tried to blend in, though he never truly could. He was human, clumsy, fragile, and loud by comparison. Yet every day he reminded himself that he had come not to impress but to protect. Lyra, the queen's child, remained a quiet presence at the edge of every gathering. She was small, delicate, and lighter-skinned than the other aliens, almost glowing in the dim light of the palace halls. Unlike the courtiers who regarded Marcus with suspicion or fear, Lyra studied him with a curious intensity. She followed his movements silently, sometimes appearing in the shadows just to watch him work or speak. One evening, when the palace gardens glowed under the strange bioluminescent plants, Marcus noticed her sitting on a low crystal wall, her legs dangling. She had a small book of alien symbols in her hands, though she wasn't reading. She was watching him. He walked slowly toward her, hands raised slightly to show he meant no harm. "Good evening," he said softly. His voice felt strange in the quiet garden, almost loud against the soft hum of the alien flora. Lyra's violet eyes met his, and she tilted her head. "You do not belong here," she said quietly, almost as if testing him. Marcus smiled gently. "Maybe, but sometimes doing the right thing means being where you don't belong." She studied him, her small hands clutching the book. "No one else seems to care. Everyone else is afraid of you or angry at you. Why do you stay?" Marcus crouched slightly, bringing himself closer to her level. "Because I promise to keep you and your people safe. Even if they don't trust me, I will do my best to protect them." For a long moment, Lyra said nothing. Then she spoke in a whisper. "No one has ever said that to me before. Not even the Queen." Her eyes softened, the faintest smile forming on her lips. Marcus felt something stir deep inside him, a mix of pride, tenderness, and a weight of responsibility he hadn't felt before. "You are different," she added, her voice almost trembling with emotion. "Different from the others." Marcus looked at her and nodded. "I am different, and maybe that is a good thing. Being different means I can try in ways others can't." Lyra leaned forward, curiosity overcoming caution. "Do you like us?" she asked, small and tentative. Marcus felt the question pierce him. He had faced countless battles, looked into the eyes of enemies, and walked through death many times. And yet this child's question felt more profound than any danger he had ever faced. "Yes," he said simply. "I do. I care for all of you, and I will do whatever I can to help you." The violet glow in her eyes seemed to brighten slightly, as if the child was seeing a new truth. For the first time, Marcus realized that connection was more powerful than diplomacy, more lasting than words. A bond had begun to form, not of blood, but of trust and courage. A bridge between species that no council or weapon could destroy. That night, Marcus returned to his small quarters, tired yet strangely light. He replayed the encounter over and over in his mind. That small, fragile voice calling him someone important. It gave him a new strength. Somewhere deep inside, he knew the path ahead would be dangerous, filled with suspicion and threats. But for the first time, he also knew he had someone depending on him. Someone who believed he was capable of more than just surviving. And somewhere, in the quiet shadows of the palace garden, Lyra sat with her small book, tracing alien symbols with her fingers, but thinking only of the human who had stepped into her world and promised to protect it, and her. The days that followed brought a new rhythm to the palace, one filled with cautious observation, whispered debates, and unspoken suspicions. Marcus moved through the halls, performing his duties with quiet determination, while Lyra remained a constant presence in the shadows, her violet eyes following him wherever he went. Their bond grew silently, wordless but powerful, yet not everyone in the palace was pleased. The Queen's Council, a group of towering, sharp-eyed aliens, had begun to watch Marcus with increasing hostility. Every decision he made, every word he spoke was scrutinized. Whispers of distrust circulated among the courtiers. "The human is weak," one elder hissed to another. "He cannot survive in our world without bending to our ways. How long before he betrays us?" Marcus was aware of their glances, the way some courtiers' forearms twitched in impatience or anger when he passed. Yet he refused to show fear. Courage was not absence of fear. It was standing strong despite it. And Marcus had long since decided that retreat was not an option. He had come here for a reason, and he would see it through, even if it meant facing the full weight of alien suspicion. One afternoon, while walking through the palace corridors, he overheard a heated discussion. The council was debating whether to exile him, claiming his presence endangered the court. Marcus's heart tightened, but he did not move. He knew the Queen could see the truth in his eyes. He was not here for power, he was here for protection. And yet, he felt the growing tension around him like a storm ready to break. Lyra, hidden behind a crystalline pillar, watched him silently. Her small hands clenched at her sides. She hated seeing the human she had begun to trust treated with suspicion. Why do they not understand him? she whispered to herself, her voice trembling with frustration. He is not like the others. He cares, he protects. That evening, Marcus found himself in the palace gardens, seeking the quiet he had learned to rely on. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly, reflecting in his weary eyes. He was lost in thought when a shadow moved beside him. Lyra stepped forward, her small frame almost glowing in the alien light. "They want to send you away," she said softly, almost as if afraid the words would carry farther than intended. Marcus looked at her, the weight of the moment pressing on his shoulders. "I know," he said quietly, "but leaving would mean abandoning the people I promised to protect. That is not an option." Her violet eyes shone with a mix of fear and determination. "Then you must show them. Show them why you are here. Show them that even a human can be stronger than they think." Marcus nodded. Her words, simple yet powerful, reminded him of why he had come. It was not to impress the council or to earn their approval. It was to do what was right, no matter the cost. Courage, loyalty, and honor were not measured by size or species. They were measured by action. The next day, the first signs of real conflict appeared. A faction of alien generals, unhappy with the Queen's tolerance of Marcus, staged a minor rebellion near a human settlement. Rumors spread that Marcus's presence had caused unrest, that humans and aliens could not coexist peacefully. The council demanded he be held accountable. Marcus knew he could not stand by. If he did, innocent lives would be lost. And so he began preparing, quietly gathering the allies who trusted him, planning a strategy not just with weapons but with intelligence, patience, and resolve. Lyra watched him from her hidden spot in the garden. She felt a mixture of awe and fear. "He is human," she whispered to herself. "But he fights with a heart bigger than anyone here." In the quiet of the glowing gardens, Marcus made a silent promise. He would not fail. No council, no army, no doubt could stop him from protecting those who depended on him, especially Lyra, whose small hand had already begun to trust him in a way no one else could. The storm was coming. And Marcus Hale, fragile and human though he might seem, would stand in its path. The night sky over the human settlement was dark, but Marcus could see the faint glimmer of alien ships approaching. His heart tightened. The council's whispers had been right. Some of the generals had taken matters into their own hands. But Marcus had no time for fear. He had promised to protect the innocent, and he would not break that promise. With a small team of loyal alien guards who trusted him, Marcus moved quickly. Every decision, every step had to be precise. The attackers were stronger, faster, and far more experienced in combat. Yet Marcus relied on his human ingenuity, his knowledge of strategy, and his instinct for survival. Every movement he made was calculated, each strike designed to outsmart an opponent much larger than himself. The first wave of attackers struck with sharp claws and blinding energy weapons. Marcus dodged, rolled, and countered with a combination of human tactics and makeshift weapons he had learned to wield in this alien world. His small size, which the generals had mocked, became an advantage. They underestimated his speed and resilience. Lyra, hidden high in the palace balcony, watched in awe. Her tiny fists clenched as she saw Marcus move with a skill and courage she had never imagined. He's really fighting," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and admiration. "Not for glory, not for power, but for us." The battle raged, and Marcus's team worked in silent coordination, following his commands. His voice rang out clear and steady, guiding them through the chaos. He shouted warnings, reassured frightened allies, and pushed back the attackers inch by inch. Every human reflex, every instinct honed through years of survival, turned into something remarkable. Hours passed like minutes. Marcus's body ached, his arms and legs burned, yet he did not stop. He could not. Not when the lives of so many depended on him. With careful precision, he led the final counterattack. The alien generals, confident in their superior strength, found themselves outmaneuvered by a human they had underestimated. One by one, they were forced to retreat, unable to match the combination of courage, intelligence, and heart that Marcus displayed. When the dust settled, Marcus stood alone in the center of the settlement. His uniform was torn, his body bruised, and sweat streaked his face. Yet he stood tall. Around him, humans and loyal alien guards began to cheer. their voices rising in relief and admiration. The attackers were gone and the innocent were safe. Lyra ran down from her hiding place, her small arms wrapping around him without hesitation. "You did it! You saved them!" she cried, her voice filled with pure, unfiltered joy. Marcus knelt to her level, brushing a strand of glowing hair from her face. "It was not just me," he said quietly. "I could not have done this without those who trusted me, and without you believing in me even when others did not." Her violet eyes shone with tears. "I always knew you were different. I always knew you cared." In that moment, Marcus realized something profound. Strength was not measured by muscle size or weapons. True strength came from courage, from the willingness to face impossible odds, and from protecting those who could not protect themselves. A human, fragile and small, had stood against superior forces and prevailed, not because he was stronger, but because his heart would not yield. When Marcus finally returned to the palace, the court was abuzz with whispers. The council, previously so confident in their judgment, now stared at him with a mixture of awe and fear. Even the queen's eyes, usually calm and unreadable, held a flicker of something Marcus had not seen before. Respect. And somewhere in the shadows, Lyra's small hand tightened on his, silently promising that the bond they shared would endure whatever storms lay ahead. Marcus, exhausted but unbroken, knew that the real battle was only beginning, but for the first time he felt a new kind of power, the quiet, unstoppable strength of being human. The palace hall was silent when Marcus returned. The courtiers, once filled with whispers and judgment, froze as he entered. His uniform was torn, streaked with dirt and blood, but his stance was steady, unbroken. Every eye in the chamber turned toward him, and for the first time, the humans in the palace felt the weight of their courage reflected back at them. The queen sat on her throne, her violet eyes sharp and unreadable. Marcus bowed respectfully, his chest heavy with exhaustion and pride. "Your Majesty," he said, voice steady despite the weariness in his body. "The threat has been dealt with. The settlement is safe." A murmur ran through the hall. The council, previously so confident in their distrust, exchanged uneasy glances. Some avoided his gaze entirely, while others stared with grudging respect. Marcus could feel their judgment, sharp and heavy, yet he did not flinch. He had proven in action that courage and honor could outweigh fear and suspicion. From the edge of the hall, a small, familiar voice broke the tense silence. Lyra stepped forward, her violet eyes wide and unwavering. "He saved them," she said softly, but with a strength that carried across the room. "He did not fight for glory. He did not fight for power. He fought for us. For all of us," the courtiers gasped. Murmurs turned into whispers, whispers into shocked silence. It was one thing to hear of a human's bravery. It was another to witness a child of the queen, someone they all revered, proclaim it openly. Marcus turned toward her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "Lyra," he began, but she shook her head, determination in her young eyes. "No," she said firmly. "They need to know. They need to see that a human can be more than they think. That courage is not measured in strength, but in heart." The queen's violet eyes widened, a subtle tremor passing through her usually calm form. Marcus felt a ripple of emotion, a mixture of awe and fear sweep through the room. He had faced countless dangers in his life, but nothing compared to this. The judgment and awe of an entire alien court, resting on him as a human. The council muttered among themselves. Some could not believe what they were hearing. Others were visibly shaken, unable to argue against the undeniable truth of Marcus's actions. The generals who had opposed him now stood quietly, their pride fractured by his courage. Lyra took a deep breath, her small frame trembling slightly, and spoke again, louder this time. He is not like the others. He fights with courage. He protects when others would run. He is brave and he cares for us. He is our protector, our father." The words echoed through the hall. Marcus froze, every muscle tense. The courtiers were stunned. The council's whispers died instantly. Even the queen's lips parted slightly, eyes wide with disbelief and emotion. Marcus looked at Lyra, his heart swelling with a mixture of love and shock. "Lyra, you called me, father?" he whispered, his voice cracking slightly. She nodded, her small hand reaching out to touch his. "Yes, you are my father in heart. You protect me. You fight for me. You You are more than anyone could imagine." The room remained silent, the weight of her words sinking into every corner. The Queen's voice, when she finally spoke, was soft but firm. "My child, she calls you father." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and Marcus felt a warmth unlike anything he had ever known. Respect, honor, and love, all mingled in that moment, creating a bond that no council or army could break. Marcus knelt slightly, bringing himself to Lyra's level. I will always protect you," he said quietly, and the words carried the full weight of his promise. "No matter what comes, I will not let you or your people be harmed." Lyra smiled, a mixture of relief and joy lighting her face. The tension in the hall melted, replaced by awe and quiet reverence. For the first time, a human had earned the respect of an entire alien court, not through power but through courage, love, and honor. The hall remained frozen in silence after Lyra's words. "Father." The single word hung in the air like a pulse, touching every heart in the chamber. Courtiers stared, wide-eyed and shocked. The council, proud and unyielding just hours ago, now seemed small and unsure. Even the Queen herself blinked, her regal composure faltering as emotions she rarely displayed flickered across her face. Marcus stood still, overwhelmed. He had faced countless dangers, fought in alien worlds, and survived situations that would have destroyed a lesser human. But nothing had prepared him for this. The weight of responsibility, love, and trust that a small alien child had placed on him in front of an entire court. He walked slowly toward Lyra, kneeling before her to bring himself closer to her small stature. Her violet eyes were bright and unwavering. "Lyra," he began, his voice thick with emotion. You called me father." "Are you certain?" She nodded, her tiny hands resting on his chest. "I'm certain," she said softly. "You are brave. You protect when others run. You fight for life, even when it's hard. You are my father, and I love you." Marcus felt something deep inside his chest tighten and expand at the same time. The battles, the struggles, the constant tension of living among a species that doubted him, it all led to this moment. A human, small and fragile as he seemed, had earned the trust and love of an alien child. That alone felt like a victory greater than any war. The Queen rose slowly from her throne, her flowing form moving toward them. Marcus's eyes met hers, and for the first time he saw not a ruler but a mother. Tears glistened in her violet eyes. "My child? She chooses to see your heart," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "And in that choice I see your worth." Whispers ran through the hall, but now they were different. Soft, reverent, even amazed. Some of the council members, faces pale and mouths slightly open, looked at Marcus as if seeing him for the first time. A few of the younger courtiers whispered to each other, their admiration barely contained. Lyra's voice, small but clear, cut through the murmurs. "He saved everyone. Not for glory, not for power, but because he cares. He is brave, he is strong, in a way no one else here can be." Marcus felt Lyra's tiny hand tighten around his, a grounding force amidst the storm of attention. I will always protect you," he said firmly, his voice carrying across the hall. "No matter what comes, no matter the danger, you and your people are my responsibility. I will not fail you." A hush fell over the chamber. Even the previously hostile council members could not deny the truth of his words. Courage, honor, and love, traits they had long dismissed in humans, stood in front of them, embodied in a man who had risked everything to protect life. The Queen's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. "So be it," she said softly. "Let it be known, this human is no longer merely a visitor. He is a guardian of my child. He is a protector of our people, and he is her father." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, and she threw her arms around Marcus's neck. He held her close, feeling the fragile, perfect trust of a child who had chosen him above all else. Around them, the hall seemed to glow, not with alien light, but with the power of recognition and respect. A human had become more than anyone expected. For Marcus, the words echoed in his mind long after the hall quieted. "Father." A single word, simple yet monumental. A symbol of trust, courage, and connection across species. In that moment, he understood that being human, small, fragile, underestimated, could still mean being heroic, even in a world that seemed impossibly alien. And Lyra, the child who saw his heart before anyone else did, smiled through tears, knowing that together, They could face whatever storms the universe would bring. The palace was never the same after that day. Marcus Hale, the human who had faced impossible odds and earned the trust of the alien queen's child, became a symbol, a living testament to courage, honor, and the quiet power of humanity. Courtiers whispered his name in awe, and even the council, once skeptical and proud, began to treat him with respect. Yet Marcus did not seek glory. He had learned long ago that true strength came not from recognition, but from the quiet knowledge that he had done what was right. Lyra remained at his side, small hands holding his, her violet eyes bright with trust and wonder. She ran through the palace gardens, telling friends and allies about the human who had saved her world, about the man she proudly called her father. And though many had doubted him at first, none could deny the truth now. A human had stood when it mattered most, unyielding and courageous, and had changed the course of an alien civilization. Marcus watched her, heart swelling with an emotion he had never fully understood until this moment. Love, responsibility, hope. One day, you will understand, he said gently, lifting her onto a low wall so she could see the glowing gardens. That courage isn't about size or species. It's about what you do when the world tells you that you can't succeed. And humans, we are small, fragile, but strong in ways no one expects. Lyra laughed softly, the sound bright and clear. I think I understand now, Father, she said, her voice full of certainty. You are strong. You fight for what is right. You never give up. That makes you bigger than anyone else here. The queen observed quietly from her throne, a faint smile on her lips. She had witnessed countless warriors, generals, and rulers from across the galaxy. Yet none had moved her as Marcus did. Not with power, not with weapons, but with unwavering heart and quiet courage. She knew that the child she had raised with care had chosen well. Marcus was not just a protector. He was a bridge between worlds, a living symbol that humanity, though fragile and underestimated, could inspire, unite, and protect even the most alien of civilizations. Months passed, and peace slowly returned. Marcus trained with the alien guards, teaching them tactics, strategies, and most importantly, lessons in courage and honor. He shared stories of humanity, of persistence in the face of impossible odds, and slowly, the aliens began to see a new kind of strength, one that did not rely on brute force, but on determination, empathy, and integrity. In time, Marcus became more than a guardian. He became a teacher, a counselor, and a friend. Aliens who had once mocked humans now sought his guidance, inspired by his example. The queen herself consulted him on matters of diplomacy and defense, trusting the human who had once been an outsider more than many of her own advisors. And yet, through it all, Marcus never lost sight of the most important bond he had formed. Lyra remained his anchor, her small hand always in his, her trust a daily reminder of why he fought, why he endured, and why he believed in humanity's potential. We face challenges together, he told her one evening as they walked through the glowing gardens. No matter how impossible it seems, no matter how many doubt us, we face them together. Lyra smiled, leaning against him. I know, Father, and I will always follow you. Years later, Marcus would tell stories to young aliens and humans alike, of courage, hope, and the quiet power of humanity. The halls of the palace echoed with laughter, learning, and unity. And whenever someone asked how a human had achieved so much in an alien world, Marcus would simply smile and say, it is not about size, species, or strength. It is about heart, courage, and the willingness to stand when it matters most. That is what makes us human. In the end, Marcus Hale had done more than survive in a world that was not his own. He had changed it, and through him the alien world learned a truth it could never forget. Humanity, fragile as it may seem, carries a strength that no force in the galaxy can destroy. Lyra, standing at his side, smiled up at him, her violet eyes shining. You are my father, she whispered. And in that single phrase, the legacy of a human's courage, love, and honor shone brighter than any alien star.